This is Scott Vanderplu, and you're listening to the Artist Edition Index Podcast, episode 46.
I went down to the St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fast.
Thank you for joining me once more for this audio version of the Artist Edition Index at aeindex.org, where we take the written word and bring it to life. Recapping September 2020, we still in the grip of COVID-19, the pandemic, and things are slow. Diamond is still not releasing sales figures, but we really don't have any AE format books for sales figures anyways. But that's where we are. Releases are quite slow. Nothing released again in September. A bunch of things scheduled for October. Let's see what happens and what comes out, and we'll take it from there. Again, my name is Scott Vanderplu. I can be reached at scott@aeindex.org. The website is aeindex.org, and we update it daily. I don't know why I say that. It's the royal we. Always represent a organization as a we, but it's just me. I update the shipping notifications every day. Normally don't do it on the weekends because Diamond is closed, so really it's 5 days. And then Monday, I'm not sure when they update it. So anyways, that's where we are. I'm already rambling, and we're only 1 minute, 20 seconds into the podcast. All right, let's look at what has happened in September. Not much again, to recap. And not much on the site. I was trying to do 2 reviews a month, and September I only managed to get 1 review. I had said to my Patreon patrons, I send out a newsletter beginning of every month, and I said I'd be doing 2 reviews this month, one a foreign language book and another auction catalog. Neither of those happened because there was some discussion on the Tap Talk forums about Alex Raymond and Artistic Journey, Adventure, Intrigue, and Romance. It was being cleared out on the Hermes Press website, and that got me to thinking about the book. Yeah, I have that. I bought it when it came out in 2016, so I pulled that off the shelf, looked through it, and thought, wow, here's a nice book of original art. This really deserves a review on the site. And, of course, I've done the review. The book's 4 years old, 4.5 years old at this point, and it's sold out everywhere. So that's a bit of a disappointment. I don't like reviewing books that are not readily available for purchase, but as we delve back into the catalog, trying to keep at least 1 review going on the site a month, all the current AE format books are already reviewed. I think we're just going to get into books that are not readily available, but can be purchased, eBay, booksellers, that kind of thing. So we'll get to that review later. But let's talk letters this month. I was able to get an email and a response to Bob Chapman from Graffiti Designs. We had a nice chat about things, and he asked me to keep it under my hat, but said publicly I could say this, that the Brian Boland Gallery Edition featuring Killing Joke will not be released in 2020, but it is being worked on. So that's all the news we have for that. So we did not get to see a Graffiti Designs book this year in 2020. We won't see one in 2020. Maybe we'll see one in 2021 if that Boland book, or maybe they'll pick something else up. I mean, they have done one book that wasn't DC. I'm really hoping, because the format's awesome, that they'll branch out and maybe do some other things. Maybe something, from First Comics or any of the history of comics. There's so much great material out there that they could choose from. And I check in with Bob maybe every 3 months. So I'll see something. Maybe I'll follow up at the beginning of the year, see what their plans for 2021 are. I also got an email asking about some pages in the Jim Starlin Artifact Edition, but I have not had a chance to go through that book and give that information yet. So when I reply back to that, which will probably be next soon, but I'll cover it in next month's podcast. All right, let's talk about shipping changes. There's been quite a few changes. Michael Golden's Micronauts Artist Edition is now scheduled for October 14th. That looks like a hard date from Scott Dunbar. He's shown 2 new covers for the book, the regular edition and the signed limited variant edition. Neither of those covers are online anywhere, so I'm still using the old cover. So when I see those new covers, they'll be updated. Of course, the variant cover page will also get that on there as well. James Cameron's The Abyss Artisan Edition, adapted by Michael W. Kaluta, has been sitting on October 28th for a while. It just moved to November 4th, which is interesting because I'm not sure when's that coming out. Scott Dimbeard sounded like it wasn't coming out. So we'll see about that. Jim Lee's X-Men Arts Edition has been moved to December 30th. And the Best of Vampirella Magazine Art Edition, the ever-shifting book, has been moved to February 10th, 2021. Do we really think this book's even coming out anymore? I've never been able to get anybody from Dynamite to email me back. They had a new employee, and he was on one of my Facebook groups, and I reached out to him, and he was surprised no one had gotten back to me and said he'd look into it, and he followed up and said he was looking into it, and then I still never heard anything back. So I'm not sure what the black hole of media relations is with Dynamite. And maybe just me. I don't know. I did not give favorable reviews of the 3 Red Sonja books. I did give an awesome review for the Jose Gonzalez Vampirella. I loved it. And the Battlestar Galactica. So, I mean, it's all up to the material. All right, that's them shipping changes. Nothing else, really. The EC Covers Artist Edition still listed for October 28th. We know that's not coming out on that date. I don't know why the date hasn't been changed. I don't know. Maybe it will happen. Stay positive, right? Stay positive. All right. That's it for changes. Let's look at the poll for this month. This is the best poll we've ever had. Let me give you the blurb, and then we'll get into why. In 1991, the best and brightest artists from Marvel and DC formed a company and changed the comics forever. These titles were selling millions of copies and propelled the big-name artists into superstardom. Which one deserves the AE treatment? J. Scott Campbell, Dale Keown, Eric Larson, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld picked this up on social media, probably because our good friend and Patreon patron David Jacoy provides the poll every month, info, and I think he copied Rob Liefeld on it. So that was all over the place, and then Larson picked it up from there, and we have the most votes ever. So Eric Larson is winning at this point, 76 votes. Followed by Rob Liefeld, 65 votes. Followed by Jim Lee, 63 votes. Followed by Dale Keown, 37 votes. And J. Scott Campbell last, 17 votes, which surprises me. Tragedy has struck the Artist Edition Index website. There was an update to the plugin I use for these polls. And every piece of poll data outside of this month is back to zero. So I was very disappointed with that. It was a security setting. Everybody's security. So I changed the security setting. And poll data should stick from now on. So if you'd like to go back and rewrite history and vote in the old polls again, that'd be awesome. I went back and voted in one just to see what was going on. All right, that's the poll for this month. It will drop off the top slot on the website tomorrow. But the poll stays live forever. The poll stays live forever. So you can jump into that and see what's what. All right, now let's talk Artist Edition out-of-print sales for this month. I'm getting a bit of a tickle in my throat, excuse me. All right, out-of-print sales, where we gather from eBay. Let's talk about what sold. 3 copies of Alien the Illustrated Story, averaging $163.32. There's a resurgence. Now, there's a book from 2012. First publisher outside of IDW to publish an AE format book. And it's picking up steam, it looks like. 163, I mean, a little 75 cover, languished forever at below that. So that's interesting. 1 copy of Bernie Wright's An Artifact Edition sold for first print, $299.99. And 1 copy of the second print for $108.09. Interesting. 2 copy of Dave Cockram's X-Men Artifact Edition sold for $120 average. 2 copies of Dave Stevens' Rocketeer Artist Edition, first print, sold for an average of $149.04. Now there's a book celebrating its 10th anniversary. 1 copy of David Mazzucchelli's Daredevil Born Again Artist Edition sold for $299.99. Wow. So that's back up there again. So if you've been sitting on some extra copies like I have, maybe it's the time to sell those. 1 copy of Don Rose's The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Volume 1, $135. 1 copy of ElQuest Gallery Edition for $43.73. 1 copy of Frank Cho's Savage Wolverine Artist Edition for $150. 2 copies of Frank Miller's Daredevil Artifact Edition sold for an average of $111.78. 1 copy of Frank Miller's Sin City, The Hard Goodbye, sold for $113.89. 2 copies of Gil Kane's The Amazing Spider-Man Artist Edition, sold for an average of $88.29. 1 copy of Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four Artist Edition, sold for $103. One copy of Jack Kirby's Marvel Heroes and Monsters sold for $124.99. One copy of Jack Kirby's The Mighty Thor sold for $99.99. One copy of Jim Starlin's Marvel Cosmic Hardback Edition sold for $78. 3 copies of Joe Kubert's Tarzan of the Apes sold for an average of $93.32, and 1 copy of Joe Kubert's Tarzan the Lion Man sold for $129.95. 2 copies of John Buscema's Silver Surfer for $152.50 average. 2 copies of John Byrne's Fantastic Four Artist Edition, an average of $154.25. 2 copies of John Romita's The Amazing Spider-Man Artist Edition, average of $197.50. 3 copies of the Volume 2, averaging $146.66. Interesting. 3 copies of Mike Mignola's Hellboy in Hell and Other Stories, first print, averaging $143.31. 1 copy of the second print for $125. 1 copy of Sergio Aragona's Gru the Wanderer for $72. 1 copy of Star Wars Dark Times Gallery Edition for $66.33. 1 copy of The Prisoner Original Art Edition for $75. I just saw that in a store somewhere for cover price. Oh, wow, I haven't seen one of those in a while. Oh, I was in London at 2 different comic shops. The one carries a great selection of AE format books, but the other store does not, and I was really surprised to see this up on their wall. All right, 2 copies of Usagi Yojimbo Samurai and Other Stories Gallery Edition, averaging $112.17. 2 copies of Wally Wood's EC Stories Artist Edition, second print, averaging $250.60. That's the sales. It's very interesting. Real mixture. I'm not sure what's driving these eBay sales anymore. I'm seeing cartoonist Kayfabe doing a lot of reviews of these books. I'm going to have to look at next month when I do the September sales. I'm going to have to look at the reviews they did and see if that's sparking interest. Definitely a trend to check. All right. I had talked briefly about the review that I did this month, and I just wanted to backtrack a bit and say, well, what else have I been doing this month? I have been working on the AE format 10 years in article. Obviously started with The Rocketeer, and I'm trying to do a lot of quotes from that period. Give info. I've got info of Scott Dunbier, Randy Dalk, a bunch of things like that. The original press release. I've done that. Now I'm moving on to Walt Simonson. I'm not sure how far I want to go. It's already getting to be a lot of words, and I think I may just do maybe the first couple of years just as a look at how the AE format market began. Maybe I'll change the name of the article and say the 10 years. AE format 10 years on the beginning. Because I also want to look at. I don't know. Actually, no. I don't know. Maybe I'll stick with the origin. There's a lot of material there. I could even just to do the first couple books, because then I've got some stuff about Walt Simonson and the Thor, and then the Wally Wood, and then I've reached out to Titan to see if I can get some info. Nothing yet. I have some brief info about it from the gentleman who worked on the scans, and then Dark Horse. I reached out to Dark Horse. They have not replied to me. I'd love some info on what started with their gallery editions. So, trying to get a little more info. This is the 10th anniversary for IDW. I would like to at least cover those first few origin books in an article. And that's why I don't want to get into 10,000 word articles. I like to keep it a bit shorter and then break it up. So I may expect to see that in the next week or two. Yeah. So back to the Raymond book. Here's the blurb from the review. From the publisher, sorry. That is in my review. Every review starts with the blurb from the publisher. Alex Raymond was one of the most influential comic strip artists of the 20th century, creating action-packed art for the Secret Agent X9, the spectacular classic imagery for Flash Gordon, and the nuanced, brilliant artwork for the detective film noir-esque Rip Kirby. Now, for the first time, Hermes Press presents a comprehensive, definitive art monograph covering Raymond's complete artistic output with an authoritative text by noted comics historian Ron Goulart. This new exhaustive full-color art book features over 400 images, many scanned directly from Raymond's original artwork, and is being published under license from King Features as part of their 100th anniversary celebration. See original artwork from Raymond's work on Secret Agent X9, Flash Gordon, Jungle Jim, and Rip Kirby, together with numerous examples of his earliest strip artwork, commercial illustration, and more. This extra-large format art book is presented in 10 by 13 inch size, so collectors can savor every detail of Raymond's artistic genius. It was released in March 2016 by Hermes Press. It's again 10 by 13 inches, it's 240 pages. It was a $75 cover price, and I have a good amount of images in the review. Good, bad here. Good, this is the only collection of Raymond art covering his career. A lot of nice examples. Good range of items. I mean, his illustration work, I don't know. Is anybody really interested in it? It's interesting to see in the book, but it's not very good. I think we want him for his strip art. I do like the X9 stuff. Flash Gordon is great. I love Rip Kirby. And a wealth of material in this book, for sure. Great images from Kirby working on stuff. There's Kirby with models and Raymond working with models for Rip Kirby. Raymond working with models for Flash Gordon. Raymond in uniform from the war. Nice stuff like that. The biographical material from Goulart is great. I like Ron Goulart. He's got that good book about strips in the 30s that was published in the 70s, and then Hermes Press redid that. That's a nice book as well. Paper stock is great. The book lays flat. Nice looking book. Very well put together. The bad. Just a whole lot of enlargements. You know, they never miss an opportunity to put an enlargement on a page in this book. You see the strip, and then there's an enlargement. And then practically every page has enlargement. Sometimes they do a whole series of enlargements, and the quality of the enlargements isn't good enough. The quality of the scans isn't good enough to do enlargements this size. I wrote the review last week. I added some new things this week because it's not necessarily the size of the scans that were done, even though they are smaller than what was printed. It's probably the DPI. And when this book was released, there was a lot of talk. These are just scans pulled from Heritage, and they just used whatever scans they could. When they enlarged it, and this looks like a poor enlargement, maybe that's why the DPI is so low, because it's for web. You know, a lot of times that's normally what happens. I mean, if you look at the book, though, the acknowledgments says Hermes Press would like to thank a bunch of people. King Features. The production of this volume was made possible by many collectors graciously lending us valuable materials from their collections. So, did people really just do bad scans? That's what I can't quite figure out, because none of the enlargements really work. Well, that's not true. You see, you can't make. So there are a few enlargements that are nice. They had a really nice looking scan of a Flash Gordon strip, and then 6 panels, and then they took each panel and made it its own page. So you really get to go over and enjoy what Raymond did with that strip. And the premise is wonderful to enlarge and really enjoy the art. But as I said, most of the enlargements don't work. They're a bit fuzzy, or they're a bit pixelated, and you can see that they've been enlarged, and the original scan wasn't good enough to do the enlargement. There are good enlargements. There are enlargements that come across as okay. It does not kill the book. I mean, it doesn't. This is the collection of Raymond art that is currently available. It is a good job. The book is a nice production. I don't understand when they were putting it together and doing these enlargements, they couldn't say, hey, this doesn't look good. Let's skip it and do another enlargement. I just don't quite understand the logic there. As I said, the book is no longer in print. You have to try and find it elsewhere. Let me check eBay right now and see what it's going for. I have links in the review. So somebody's selling a copy for $150. Boo. Somebody's selling another copy for $195. Wow. Okay. That stinks. All right. So a bit hard to get. Sorry to hear that. Keep your eyes open. You may be able to find a copy at a local comic shop or a bookstore that's not selling it for that ridiculous price. All right. It is, as I said, it's a light month this month. Bit disappointing to hear that news from Bob Chapman from Graffiti. No book. We see constant delays with the books coming out this year. I'm really hoping we see some things in October. I think we're guaranteed one, but who knows? You know, putting, and then that Jim Lee book at the absolute last Wednesday of the year, that makes me feel like it's going to slip into next year. I hope it doesn't, but we'll have to wait and see. And let's see and hope other publishers are going to be doing something. I have not heard boo from Dark Horse. We know the Kitchen Sink Books imprint has folded. We have not seen something else come out of that. Kept hoping we'd see something emerge from that in a different format or a different publisher or something. The bright spot, of course, is the foreign market. The French books are wonderful and they continue to be produced. I'm having some trouble getting things shipped to me in Canada. I'm not. Angoulême has that annual festival. It's the largest comic festival in the world. They have a nice online shop. They have books available for about 30 to 35 euros, 160 pages, 10 by 13 about, collecting original art. I really want them. One book to get shipped to me in Canada is 50 euros, and if I order 5 books, it's 100 euro shipping to Canada. That is crazy. That's about double what I've been charged by other companies, so I don't know if they're trying to cover... I don't know what costs they're trying to cover by charging ridiculous shipping. I think that would just limit. And then I thought, oh, this is crazy. I'll look for online retailers, and I see Bud Plant and Suriname have these books, and they're selling them for 80 US, which is a little bit more than what it would cost me to order the 5 books I want and then pay for the shipping. They'd be about 80 Canadian for me. So I just hate to pay, for basically that's $20 to $25 Canadian per book shipping. That's crazy, but I'll think it over. We'll see how the year goes, right? That's the as I like to get new material. I like to try and cover books on the AE Index. I should mention that you can support the site if you like it. I know things are slow, but you can become a Patreon patron for $1 a month. Help keep the lights on. Or you can use a affiliate link. All the links to, say, eBay or Amazon or Things from Another World on the site are all affiliate links, so I get a few percentage points from anything you purchase. So that is really appreciated. And I have to say that I really appreciate everybody using my eBay links, because that is my main source of income for the site. As the eBay affiliate links, believe it or not. Things from Another World links were always great, but unfortunately that only covers new books. And since we have a dearth of new books, there's people just not ordering things. And with the delays, online shops at this point aren't letting you order a lot of books anymore. Even though this Jim Lee book's coming out, Things from Another World isn't letting you order it, as an example. So I may have to ship and then be able to do it. And I'm also, it's searching around for online retailers that will let me do an affiliate link. In stock trades, DCBS, cheap graphic novels. None of those people have affiliate programs, so I can't hop on board there. That's disappointing. All right, I think that's all I have for this month. As I said, it's a light month, and I apologize for keeping it short. Oh, I should give my shout out to all those people in Hungary who are eating up the A Index site and this podcast. I'm not sure how, but Hungary is now my second most, hits from a country. I don't know, that was poorly phrased, but they hit U.S. is number 1 and Hungary is number 2 now. France is number 3, and Canada, they sort of bump in between there. So that's interesting. I'm not sure what the draw is, but I appreciate it. Thank you for listening to this podcast, for sure. Nothing else really new going on. Not enough letters to speak of. That's all our reviews. Yeah. All right. Thanks, and we'll join you and talk again next month.
Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this wide world over. She'll never find a sweet man like me.